So, like I said, I was kind of like always like a bigger girl, and fitness was never like a thing like 10, 15 years ago. It wasn't like a sweet pea, like a huge thing. So
Go on.
I was just super lazy and I hated gym class. And then you kind of like get out of high school and I just let it kind of spiral out of control. And then you turn 21 and you like that whole like first 2 years are just like party years. And then on my 21st birthday, I stepped on the scale and I was like 295 pounds. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, holy shit, I got to do something. I can't see 300. I can't. That's just insane. You're at 200 and then you go, I'll never hit 220. And then you hit 220 and you're like, I'll never hit 250. And then boom, like all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. So that happened. And then right after that, my friend introduced me to Herbalife. And they kind of like bring you in and do all these scans and tell you need like 120 grams of protein a day. And I had like 2 shakes every single day and healthy foods. And I lost like probably 60 pounds in about a year. I was running a lot. And so it was just like a 180 from what I was doing. And it kind of like got old for me, and I felt really great at first and it just didn't stick. And I was stuck at like 220 for probably like 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like fell off, and I was still drinking the shakes, but then for dinner I was just eating like crap, or the weekends I was just eating like crap. And so, and I'd go through spurts of like doing really good, and then you stop. Mm-hmm. So, and then let's see, last November, I was diagnosed with MS. And through all that, I was so emotional, and I probably ate like 30 pounds worth of Christmas cookies because I gained like 30 pounds in a matter of 2 months. Mm-hmm. Like, boom.
This was after you found out that this is after you were diagnosed with MS?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I just kind of was like, whatever. I can't.
Fuck it.
Yep, exactly. Because it was, what do you do? And I totally was not expecting it either. I hadn't had any symptoms, so I was even kind of like, after this MRI, if everything's cool, I don't want them anymore. Because 2 years ago, I lost vision in one of my eyes, and it's called optic neuritis. And sometimes it can be a fluke, but a lot of the times it's like the first symptom of MS. And it went away after about 2 months, and I feel fine. I felt fine. So that MRI came, and I was like, nah, if nothing comes of this, I don't want these anymore. It must have just been a fluke. But there was more damage on the MRI, and that was enough to diagnose me. And then you just kind of go into a whirlwind of information, and like my doctor couldn't see me for like a month and a half. So they like called me to let me know that I had MS, and then couldn't see me for a month and a half. So it's like,
what do you do in that time?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Google. Google everything.
Yeah.
And think about all the other people that you've ever known that's had MS, and of course it's mostly negative. But then I was researching about a month later, and I came across like a YouTube video. Oh, get down.
Both of our cats, they want to be friends, I think.
I think so too. Jesus. I never sit at this table though, so they're probably like, Mom, what are you doing? Yep. But like a month after that, I came across a Dr. McDougall video, and he was explaining how like some proteins in dairy look just like proteins that are in us naturally. And through like molecular mimicry and all this science, I don't know how in depth I should really go, but it it just clicked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dairy is going to have a huge impact on this period. And it was actually funny because one of my friends, when I was first diagnosed, she messaged me on Facebook and she was just like, time to cut dairy and gluten and this and that. And I was like, no thanks. I like my cheese. And like, I didn't even
think about it.
Nope, not at all. I mean, I live in Wisconsin, so it's like cheese curds are life.
Yes. No, I was picking up on your accent. I was going to ask you actually, and I have family in Wisconsin, so I know that cheese is like king or queen or both. I mean, cheese is a huge thing. And so I think, when somebody says, oh, we'll cut out dairy, you're thinking, well, why would I do that? And that's exactly what most people think. Like, that's silly. Why would I do that? So, okay, this is before you found anything else out though. So you were going to go back and eat those words eventually.
I kind of was researching more and more and watching the Forks Over Knives and What the Health and all that, and started thinking I might need to switch my eating a little more. And my diet just transformed, and I started by doing some recipes on the blog and kind of finding certain things. And I was still like, because my boyfriend doesn't eat this way, so and I'm the cook. So I still cook him stuff, and I would like take nibbles of his pepperoni and chicken and make sure, but I no dairy. And sugar is like the hardest thing in the world. And I know myself well enough now that I can't just have one piece. It spirals. So I probably like a month now, I have been 100% on the meal plans, no sugar, no nothing besides I do my little daily dozen Dr. Greger's thing, and I stick to the meal plans, and I just eat like crazy, and I've lost probably like 15 pounds since doing that, and I've been injured, so I haven't been working.
Interesting. Okay, so let's go like through the timeline a little bit. So before you started on the Herbalife stuff, because I want to know what you were eating before you got on there, and then I also want to know what they considered healthy. So let's go through this. So before the Herbalife stuff, was it just pretty much anything and everything you would eat?
Yep, I remember a couple times going to Hardee's to get onion rings, going to McDonald's to get a McChicken, and then maybe going to Arby's for one other thing. Like fast food, frozen foods, pizza rolls. I mean, I was out of control. It was just out of control. That's the only way to really.
Yeah, I hear it a lot. It's almost like an addiction. It's the same thing I hear a lot with people describing alcohol, and the way that I felt about alcohol is the same when people get into those addictive patterns with food. And it's crazy because if you have somebody that has an addictive personality or who sits on that spectrum of having an addictive personality, and then you put addictive food and you add addictive food to that, it's just like, this is off the charts, Yep. Because it's like, it's like not only is the food addictive, but if you have an addictive personality, it's really a recipe to, like you said, just go out of control. And so I totally get it. So then you got on the Herbalife thing, and I have heard of that. And it's the shake stuff. And it's also, isn't it like a multi-marketing, like pyramid type of thing as well? Like
it's not technically a pyramid scheme, but I think they're constantly getting sued because people think they are.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not that familiar. But, here's the thing. Like, I talked to, I don't know if you saw a video I did with Erin, but I think that people are, have their own process. And it's like, for her, she got into this, I think, like essential oil type of stuff. And then that led her to, I think, Dr. Furman, and that led her to me. And so it's always like you have those little openers, to kind of like, okay, well, open your mind a little bit so that you can start thinking about things in a different way. And then, like you said in your email, you just start researching, and then you go down the tunnel and the rabbit hole, and you learn what's next.
Yep.
So if it was Herbalife that did it for you, then awesome. Whatever got you here, that's all that matters.
Yep.
So when you were doing those shakes, and when you had originally lost some of that weight, like 60 pounds, what was considered healthy at that time for you?
So probably the 2 shakes, and there were like little other products and stuff you could eat, and there was like probably 5 different bottles of vitamins and enhancers that I took because they put it out to you like good, better, best.
Oh, they're like
to
the
like sign up
packages.
for different packages, and I was like, I want to go all in because I'm sick of feeling like crap. And dinner was probably like chicken and or a lean
Fish or
beef
something.
and vegetable and potato. But I really wasn't too strict about anything. I mean, I would still eat whatever I wanted. It still probably had a ton of cheese on top and stuff. And I was mixing the shakes with milk. So, I mean, going back and looking at the ingredients and what I was doing, I was just kind of like,
it's
no.
it's not where you needed to be, but it was a step at least for you in the right direction of finding the next thing that you needed to find out. So then it was come January, that's when you cut out all dairy, right?
Yep.
This January
you
cut out all dairy and all red meat, and so you were feeling better, but then you decided to eventually do the meal plans, go whole food, plant-based, and no sugar. Okay, so that's kind of the timeline. So explain to me, I have a ton of questions, but all right, so with your MS, I mean, it's so good that you found this out now because you're young. And so, as you know, because you've done a ton of this research, MS, there's been so many studies done that, show that animal protein and MS go hand in hand. And once you're older and you have already had symptoms for a long time, it's much harder to, get under control. It's the same thing with any autoimmune disease, really, because that's, what MS is. But if you can catch it early and you can change your diet, then you have a really good chance of not progressing even, and it's amazing to me that not everybody that this isn't like a known thing. And it actually pisses me off. So I wanted to get your kind of perspective having MS, and you got diagnosed, you didn't have an appointment with your doctor until a month later. First of all, what did your doctor say when you were diagnosed? What was the course of action that he wanted you to take, or she wanted you to take?
Yeah, so I got the call, and it was a nurse, and she said, due to new areas of focus, I think, you meet the criteria for the McDonald diagnosis. And she just said, let's schedule an appointment to get in with Dr. Case. And when I went there finally to see her, she had a spreadsheet of different medicines with their blood work requirements and side effects listed. And I had to pick an injection and I had to pick a pill just in case my insurance didn't approve the pill, because they usually make you try the injection first. And I picked the 2 with the least bad side effects and left with 2 big pamphlets of each to read up on, and
that was it.
Waited. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, she had nothing else really.
Yeah. And, I'm sure that she didn't know. And I'm, most people in the health, in the healthcare field don't know this. And that's why it was really good of you to start looking for answers yourself, and that's not what most doctors want people to do for multiple reasons. But I think, it's so important to, especially if we get a diagnosis like this, to say, okay, well, let me look at what else is out there, because it could be that, especially with something like this, it's just so you were feeling, I imagine, really discouraged and like, is this just like a sentence, like a death sentence almost? Not that you were going to die immediately, obviously, but it was like, there's nothing that can be done. What am I going to do?
Yep. Yeah. And I was totally like, no one will ever understand how I feel right now. Like, I was just totally in a whole, like, down here, don't no one worry about me. I'm just going to be in a wheelchair soon. When I am so blessed to have been diagnosed so early that I can do something about it. Most people, it takes decades to get even diagnosed and they're already disabled. So I am very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
So then so since you've been whole food plant-based for, you said, like a month now without any sugar, and you've been really strict about it, how do you feel right now, just overall, like compared to how you were feeling even after you cut out like dairy, but we're still eating meat? Can you tell a difference?
Oh yeah. I feel like lighter on my feet. And like I just had the nacho dip and I ate like way too many chips and I don't feel like I'm dying. You know how when you eat like way too much and it's like crappy food and you're just like, oh my God. Where even yesterday I ate a little too much for dinner. It's so yummy. Like, you don't feel like crap.
Yeah.
I have so much energy and I think this is like so much fun too, to like, I don't know, it's fun to me, and to bring my food to lunch and the people I sit with just look at it like, what? I'm just like laughing because
it's so good.
Jokes on them.
Yeah. Really, yeah. No, it's amazing. I mean, to think, and most people, it's amazing. And well, you've experienced this too, but so many people think that, well, you just get tired after you eat. That's just the natural side effect of eating, is you eat a big meal and then you feel like you need a nap. And when people experience for the first time that after you eat, you can feel really energized and really like, it's even more than satisfied. It's like satiated, and just so happy, with their food and not feeling like you need a nap, that people are like, what? Like, I can't believe that I didn't, that this, like, you're not supposed to feel like you need a nap after you eat. So I was going to say, your skin looks amazing. And I know that you had some skin issues in the past, and I would never know. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
So I apparently have PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, and I would get huge cystic acne all along my jaw and my neck, and they would hurt so bad I would cry. I was taking ibuprofen because it hurt so bad. And they gave me medicine to try and creams to try, and my skin was to the point where right before my period I would get these, and then right before my next period they were finally healing.
And then it would happen again.
And then coming back. Exactly. And it was a never-ending cycle of just awful pain. And
how long did you have that? I can't
remember. Probably 2 years at least.
Wow, that's a long time to deal with that. Okay.
And I can't remember the last time I had one of those pop up. Not at all this year.
Not at all this year, since you took out the dairy.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, that's another one of those little like random, unexpected benefits that I don't think, and there's so many of those that I hear about. Like, people never think that they'll be able to, like, another big one is getting off from their allergy medication. It's like, okay, well, I started eating this way because of this, but during this process now I've gotten off from this and this has changed. And so it's like, what's really amazing to me is it's like eating this way leads to the side effects of eating this way are all positive. And as opposed to like medication, where it's like this Band-Aid solution for things, and the list of side effects, as you know, it's like a laundry list. There's some side effects for certain medications that are like death. Like, a side effect could be death. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, that's then what's up? So it's like when you change your diet and you eat for your health, essentially, is what we're doing. It's like all of these little things just start to get better, and your body just starts bringing itself into balance. And it's amazing. And every time I talk to somebody or read about this, it's like, why doesn't everybody know this? It's so frustrating because you have so many people who are so sick and dependent on medication, and they just have no idea that it can be any other way. and it's like with the Herbalife stuff, when you were talking about like, well, you can get different packages and it's like this level and this level. And, it's like such bullshit, because it's like, all you need to do is go to the grocery store, find the produce section, find the bulk bins, and start cooking your own food. Like that's the thing. It's so easy that it's like people just overcomplicate the shit out of it. So, okay, a little passionate about it.
No, I hear you. And I wish I could like gracefully convey all this information onto people. I had someone reach out to me recently, and I like sent them like 4 different articles of yours. And I was just like, read all this and this and this. And if you like this book, read that. And she's just like, like,
overwhelmed.
I don't know. Cause I mean, I took 10 months to find my groove, where I was just like, here's everything you need to know. Do it now.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's why, like, you probably should start your own blog and like put all that stuff in there and just like track what you did and how you did it. And I think it's really, or at least keep track for yourself. Like keep it all in Google Docs so that you have it at least. Because I think it's such a process, and depending on where people are coming from, like depending on their background and how old they are and what their diet has looked like and how many diets they've been on and how many like people who have yo-yo dieted their whole life, like everybody's coming at this at a different place, And so it's like, it can be really overwhelming for people who are just brand new. They're like, where the fuck do I start? But there's so much bogus information out there. That's the other thing. Like people have to weed through it. They don't know who to trust. And so I think like, leading people to the good stuff, like Dr. Greger, nutritionfacts.org and the Daily Dozen is awesome. And I'm sure that you have your handful of plant-based doctors that you send people to. But even then, I mean, it takes a certain amount of time to dedicate to researching the stuff, because you have to learn it. And it's going to require some reading or watching some videos and, stuff like this. But, oh my God, how it's so worth it. So, okay, my question to you then, I guess, is like, how old are you?
You're 26.
You're 26. Okay. So at this point in your life, like if you hadn't have made these changes, or if you didn't come across or been on the journey that you have with food, and you were on that same path that you were like a year ago, where do you think your life would be right now?
Oh, I look around me and none of this would probably even be here. I would not be happy. I probably would have had more happen with MS. It's just weird to think about. If that hadn't happened, everything. I can't even picture, because my life would be totally different.
Yeah. So it sounds like your life has like just completely changed throughout this whole process.
Yep. And I was on blood pressure medicine since probably 18, and
wow.
I'm off of that now. But they pretty much said if you keep this up, you could have a heart attack or stroke at 30.
Yeah. So you were on blood pressure medication. Was your cholesterol also high? Were you on cholesterol meds, or had you gotten to that yet?
No meds yet, but they had been like more than 230 since I can remember.
Yeah.
And this last month it was 130, I think.
So you had your labs done recently. So your blood pressure is down. Your cholesterol. You're not on blood pressure medication anymore, clearly. And your cholesterol.
Yeah, it was actually too low.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all the numbers, like our work does like a health risk assessment thing, and they check your cholesterol and your BMI and body fat percentage, and I got 13 out of 13 points this year. Awesome. And in past years, the only points I ever got were for not smoking. Like that was it. So I was like low risk for everything, which was like,
awesome. What? That's fantastic. That must feel so good. And it's like one of those things that no amount of money can buy you that happiness. When you have your health, it's like that's something that you can only get yourself, and that nothing else will make you feel that good. Because if we don't,
especially when something,
no, go
especially when something wants to take it away from you.
Absolutely. absolutely. When you have that scare or that diagnosis that you had, I mean, I imagine that you were just like, well, I'm fucked, you
Yep.
know? And so I think that you, yeah, appreciate your health even more than the average person who hasn't had a diagnosis like that. And it's really, you know, up to each one of us to make that call and to make those changes. And so I'm really happy that you did. And I'm really proud of you for sticking, you know, just to keep learning and to figure out what works for you. And like you said, kind of get in your zone. And you are going to, by doing what you're doing, you're going to inspire other people. And is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I guess I would like to share a story.
Mm-hmm.
I was at work the other day talking to some people, and one guy was like, I would rather die than eat that way.
He said that to you.
And he said that to me because you know, bacon.
Yeah.
And I just nicely looked at him and said, you don't just get the option to die peacefully or eat bacon. Mm-hmm. You're going to die fighting cancer. You're going to die after triple bypass surgery, fighting heart disease. I mean, you don't just get to choose dying or eating a certain way. It's going to be a fight. Yeah. And I want to live happy and disease-free as long as I can, not 70 and hating my life.
Yeah.
So I guess if that resonates with anyone.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
This is what we're doing this for.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not just about, like, you know, because we're all going to die, obviously. Like, we can't, as you know, as shitty as that is, like, that's just the reality. But we all have a say in how we live up until that point. And that's entirely up to us. So we can live a long and healthy, happy life that's, you know, free of disease or the most common lifestyle diseases anyways. Or, you know, we can live a life that sucks and we're sick and we're in bed and we're on medication and we can't go anywhere. And because if we don't have our health, then you don't have much of a life.
Nope.
And you don't know that until you go through it. And for most people, okay, well, you know, even somebody who hasn't been like chronically sick, think back to the last time you had the flu, you know, and how miserable you were in bed and how you didn't feel like doing anything. Like, imagine having that, but something chronic like that. So I think that just realizing, yes, we're all going to die, but we all can live the best life we can up until that point. I think that it's such an important message. And thank you again. You have a lot of wisdom, and I'm glad that you got this diagnosis young and that you were able to make these changes. Good for you. Yeah. And I hope that you are documenting it. And I would love to have you back like in a year from now and just see what's going on with you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I hope you have a great night. And thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. This whole thing is all because of you. I don't know how I would just like whip up grains and beans all willy-nilly. Like, I wouldn't. So I can't even thank you and the whole dirty team enough.
Our wizards. Yeah. Well, you know, and then the thing is, like, it's not complicated, but it's like when you're new to this, it's just like you would never think to put millet and bok choy and like a tahini dressing with some, you know, crushed almonds and maybe even blueberries like on top. You just wouldn't think of that stuff, you know? And because I've been doing this forever, like, I think it's really good for people to know that, like, okay, first of all, eating this way can be fucking delicious. Like, it doesn't have to taste like bird food. And it's accessible. Like, you can do it, you know? So, so good for you for following along, because really, like, we can design the plans, we can create the recipes, we can deliver them in your classroom, but unless you get your ass to your classroom, download them every Friday, go to the grocery store, and dedicate time in your kitchen batch cooking, it won't happen. So you have, you know, we're here to guide, but you're the one doing the work. So I'm going to give you a virtual high five.
Yeah.
And and that's awesome. So thank you again, and I hope you have a really good night. And thanks for taking time out of your evening, because I know it's like 8:00 or almost 8:00 where you are. So thanks again.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, talk to you later.
Sounds good. Bye.